2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this, and now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, buddy, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Tuesday, the post-Monday celebration, one of the greatest days of the entire week. Welcome into the show. We have so much to get to today, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, on the website at HooserReason.com. Thanks for hanging out with us, no matter where you may be. We appreciate it very, very much. We do our daily check-in as usual. Joe Biden, how you doing, buddy? You feeling good today on the campaign trail, speaking to fields and things? How you doing?
I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts.
All right, making sure. We have a lot to get to. So the Democrats a little upset that they can't stop the Supreme Court nomination from President Donald Trump. Mitch McConnell thinking we have the numbers locked in, but it sounds like it. We have 53 Republicans, 2 are backing out, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins. It's typical. They usually do. Mitt Romney saying that he's actually going to support, so we'll talk about that here in just a little bit as well. So there's a lot to get to. Plus, COVID-19 numbers hit 200,000 in the nation. Are they accurate? I don't think so. So we'll touch on that here in just a little bit as well. But first, I'm so excited. I want to jump right into our guest, and I have to admit, I'm kind of really excited about this guest. We interview a lot of people, obviously, on the show, a lot of politicians. I mean, we've talked to some really high influential people, but I'm kind of excited about this one. She's fantastic. You've seen her all over the news whenever she does like crazy things like wearing really cool dresses on the red carpet that the left and the Hollywood absolutely despise. That she is an actress. She's a wonderful singer. By the way, I don't know if you've heard her song. It's gone huge. I mean, everybody loves it. Let's well, there we go.
All go under and drown. Yeah, the future depends on us. So we gotta wake up, gotta shake it up now, and let's make America great again.
Trigger words.
We can come back twice as strong.
I love it. She's the actor. She's a singer. She is an advocate for President Donald Trump, also author of the new book, KickAss Conservative, How I Escaped Liberal Feminism to Become a Freedom-Loving Trumplican, and How You Can Too. I'm honored to have on the program with us Joy Villa today. Joy, how are you, my friend?
I am so good. I'm living my best life.
Oh, I tell you,
freedom every day.
it's fantastic. It's so good to have you on the show, and I'm so glad the book's going well. Are you getting some good response from this so far?
I'm getting a huge amount of response. People are telling me every day, they're like, they never knew these stories before. They didn't really know my heart as much, or they become conservative because of me, which is what the book's about. It's about sharing my story, my humor, my faith, my love for the Constitution, stories of how I met the president, secrets on how to fight the haters, and then also, but how other people can do it too. So that's the whole point. It's a how-to guide to inspire conservatives to be more kick-ass and powerful, just like you do on the show.
Well, we definitely need more kick-ass conservatives, and we need, as you mentioned, kind of the how-tos, because I tell you, it's a brutal world, the civil unrest, the continued civil unrest that they say if President Trump gets reelected again, because it's all his fault and will stop as long as he doesn't get elected again or he changes his ways completely sort of mindset, but it's all his fault because we're completely innocent and justified in this madness that goes over the nation. So let's start at the beginning, though. Let's talk about you. How did you come to this quote-unquote transition from the progressive mindset? I'm sure it's obviously very easy to slip into that mindset in Hollywood and with the industry that you're in. How did you see the quote-unquote light, and how did you do this transition?
Well, I talk about that in KickAss Conservative into great detail, but one of the biggest things, it was a journey. I walked away, and my good friend Brandon Strzok, who started Walk Away, he does the foreword of my book, which I'm grateful for. But I walked away very publicly before there was the Walk Away movement or Blexit or Lexit or any of the groups, right? I came out in a Trump dress at the Grammys in 2017, giving absolutely no F, and I just did it. And I tell you, it's without God's light shining in me and through me, without me being able to lay my ego down and just say, if I would fight it, I wouldn't be here where I am today. But because God said, just do this, and I said, okay, I don't think about it, I just go, I act.
Sure.
And it really was the biggest moment for me, was realizing that the leftism I was involved in, the hashtags, the marches, the movements, all of the stuff I was caught up in was doing nothing. Black people weren't successful under Obama. There wasn't a success in the economy for, people who wanted to start businesses. There was so much dependence on welfare. There was so much poverty. There was so much just overall attitude of darkness and disbelief in the American dream. And patriotism was a dirty word. America was in bad disarray. And, it was all about bad news. It was bad shape. But I thought being a liberal was the way to save it. And I realized all of this energy spent on nonsense, feminism and all this crap. And I just had this lightning rod moment where I looked at Trump and I said, if he does even a third of what he's promising, he's going to be the one to reestablish America back, American exceptionalism for all of us, all colors.
Well, and I think he's done it, even just a little bit of what he's tried to do. I know they've tried to stop him quite a bit, but he's been able to do it, which is why I think there's an energy. Look, I'm a millennial. I'm 31, and I know that you're young as well. There's more energy, I think, in politics now than I've ever seen. I consider it as kind of the reflection of like a Ronald Reagan 1984 reelection here. There's so much energy and excitement going into this election. It's something that I've never seen before.
Right. It's never been this kind of energy, not in our lifetime. I'm a millennium. I'm right there with you. I'm 34. And it's like our contemporaries, people who are around our age, are all about destroy the nation, right? For the most part. It's like, let's break down the system. Let's change. It's not working. Well, it's not working because Americans are not taking their power back. Yeah. They're not using their voices. We're beat down by the constant propaganda, CNN, MSNBC. And we've been told a lie that we don't matter. We're not spiritual beings. There is no God, that family is destroying the planet, that we're a plague and we're diseased on this earth, right? A lot of these, I'm all about saving the planet and helping everything, nature, but telling human beings that we are the disease, we are not. We were created to rule this planet, of course, with responsibility, but we have to take that responsibility. Responsibility starts with actions and being a victor, not a victim. And I feel like America's been a victim of victim mentality for so long. And Trump came in and just was like, boom, let's do this.
Yeah.
America's the best. No apologies. Stop China. Stop foreign government. Stop, let's put peace in the Middle East. I mean, he's done so much in only 4 years, and he's going to do even more in the next 4 years.
Well, you're absolutely right. And you mentioned something that you hit a spot on. I mean, we have a voice. We can do something about it. We can change. We can be successful in our own right. I mean, you talk about feminism. I see you as a feminist, a strong woman who's very successful, who went out and did it. She wrote a book. You make music. You make movies. I mean, you're successful. That is
Thank
feminism.
you.
That's exactly what feminism is, isn't it? To stand up and say, I can go do this because I live in America. I have the world is my oyster. I can go do anything that I want to do instead of saying, oh, I can't do that because the system's against me. I mean, to me, that is what feminism and success really is in America.
Well, I'll tell you something. I would have agreed with you 5 years ago, but I don't believe that is what feminism is. It's what feminism should be.
Yes.
I have a whole chapter on that, why I'm no longer a feminist. And I'll tell you what I call myself is pro-woman. I'm pro-woman. I'm like, yes, girl power, woman power. Women should stand up, lead, use their voices. But that doesn't mean we need to put men down to do so. It doesn't mean we have to act like men or insult men or race gender altogether. I mean, feminism has been hijacked by so many weird movements right now that it's nothing like former first wave, which has said, hey, you're not the property of your husband. You're a human being. Second wave, hey, let's get the vote, right? But third wave, fourth wave, fifth wave feminism is nothing but blue-haired people screaming and saying, I'm gender neutral, and you're a white Christian man, and so you're the patriarchy, and you can't be in power anymore. It's all your fault, right? That's unfortunately what I see feminism nowadays, and I would never raise my future daughters like that. I would never want anybody's daughters to be raised with that. I want empowerment. Empowerment comes from responsibility, integrity, and values.
Amen to that. We're talking with Joy Villa, author of the new book, KickAss Conservative, How I Escaped Liberal Feminism to Become a Freedom-Loving Trumplican, and how you can too. Also a singer, also a Hollywood star, and we're appreciative here on the program to have her on. You can follow her online, joyvilla.com, also on Twitter, at joy_villa, which I do follow you on Twitter, and you make some really funny videos because people lose their minds when you make posts
Yes,
and you
they
talk
do.
on there. They lose their minds. How do you keep your sanity? I know Trump does it every single day. So many people, I mean, I'm in talk radio. I get hate mail all the time too, but at the same time, like just to not care. How can we go about our day when there's so much hate and anger in the world to where they feel like they're going to lose their minds and have an aneurysm, but yet we just go about our business and do our thing?
It's funny because they hate anybody who is like, it's a cognitive dissonance, right? Which is if you believe something so strong and then somebody gives you an argument that can disprove it and everything just crumbles around you because you've built up your whole identity, your whole living on this one idea, right? And then somebody proves to you that it's wrong and you lose your mind. That's called cognitive dissonance. That's what's happening right now. And on Twitter, I'm more ferocious than on any of my other platforms. I'm also on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Parler. And but I post a lot of content on Twitter. I just posted the other day. I posted it's okay to be white, because I knew that was going to make liberal leftist heads explode. And the fact is, of course, it's okay to be white,
Sure.
even though I'm constantly seeing that white people are demonized simply for being born a color that they had nothing to do with. There is no such thing as white privilege. And for your listeners who don't know, I'm a black woman saying this, black and Latina, mixed race, also Italian. So, and my dad looks white. He's Italian and Argentinian. So a lot of people will be like, oh, is that your dad? Who is that? That's my dad. I grew up with a brown mom and, a pink dad. And it wasn't a big deal about color. But now we see people demonized for their color. And that's the same thing with feminism. It doesn't work if you demonize men to lift up women. It doesn't work if you demonize white people to lift up black people.
Yeah.
It's never going to work. Two wrongs don't make a right.
No, exactly. We got just about a minute left before we got to go. I know that you have to run, but when it comes to those identity politics, are you seeing from what Hollywood does with the racism on that side and the conservatives that are just like, we really just don't care? I mean, they claim that we're racist all the time on the right side of the aisle, and then the fact that you have a dark skin color and that you're conservative means that you're just probably the most blind person on the face of the earth. I mean, isn't it evident to most people in America which side racism really comes from?
It should be. It totally should be, my friend. But, racism is something that is there's two different types of racism in my viewpoint. There's the real racism, which is if you believe superiority or inferiority of any color. And then there's the new definition of racism is if you're a Trump supporter, right?
Exactly.
So the media has beaten down young people, millennials, Generation Z, to think that racism is just if you wear a red hat. And I'm here to tell you, no, it's not about color. It's about freedom. This nation, this Constitution was built for all men to be created equal under God. And, you know, my book, KickAss Conservative, explains why and how to deal with these haters and all of this constant onslaught that's only going to get worse leading up to November. And that's why it's so important we use our voices over the violence, get out, be kick-ass conservatives, and vote.
Amen to that. Joy Villa, KickAss Conservative. Make sure to go and check it out. Joy, it's such an honor to have you on the show. I'm a big fan of yours. I appreciate it. We got to get you back on again here soon again.
Thank you. Absolutely. Anytime. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I appreciate it very much. Joy Villa right there. We got so much to talk about here on the show today, but there we go. Way to kick off a Tuesday. That's what I'm talking about. It's the Voice of Reason. Lots more coming up. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, you are. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. It is a Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out with us. No matter where you may be, radio, TV, live, streaming, podcasting, doesn't matter. We're kicking it all over the place, doing the thing, trying to rebrand the millennial generation one radio listener at a time, or TV listener, or podcaster. Doesn't really matter. Thanks for with us all over the place. Thanks again to Joy Villa. That was a big one. I really enjoy her stuff. I think she's... I love it because she just don't care. She just doesn't care. She walks out onto the red carpet with the Build the Wall dresses, if you remember. She had the Trump dresses. She had the abortion dress. I mean, she just doesn't care. She's pro-Second Amendment, pro-life, pro-Trump, and she goes out and just does her thing, and regardless of what everybody says. And if you don't follow her on Twitter, highly recommend it. Highly recommend it because, again, she just don't care. And she doesn't mind ruffling any feathers, which is fun. And she does it in a unique way from places like Hollywood. So it's a little bit different beast to try and represent in that sense. So good for her. And I think it's absolutely great. So appreciate her coming on the show. We'll get her back on the program again here real soon, hopefully, because I love chatting with her. And by the way, she's not anymore, but she was part of the Trump campaign council, advisory council, trying to give tips for the campaign. She's not anymore. She's often kind of just doing it freelancing and just kind of promoting President Trump. But those are the types of people you want on the for the council for your campaign, isn't it? If you're running for president of the United States, you want farmers, you want Hollywood elites, you want workers, you want this, you want everybody to try and understand the demographic of each individual voting demographic. You want to be able to appeal to everybody. And the fact that she has multiple different ancestry and she's conservative, oh my. But yet that's what the left focuses on all the time, right? So I think it's perfect to have her on. We've talked to a few different advisory council people on Trump's campaign on the show, and she's just another one of them. So kudos to that one there. Here's the big news of the day.
What's trending today?
What's trending today, according to the Associated Press, a U.S. death toll from coronavirus hits 200,000, and it's unfathomable, according to the media. Now, I don't know if you remember all the way back when, like the beginning of this pandemic, all the way back in March, when this thing first broke, and all the experts got together and they said, gee, let's try and put a timeline together on when this is going to happen, how this is going to happen, and how bad this potentially could be. And they came out at first and said minimum, within the first couple of months, at the peak of this thing, we're going to hit 250,000 to 500,000 people dead from the virus. Just right off the bat. Gone. If you remember, they were talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands, multiple hundreds of thousands of people dead from this virus in the United States. Trump curbed that. Now we've hit 200,000, and that's a shaky 200,000. If you remember, the 200,000 also includes the people that had pre-existing conditions as well, that they got it, and whether that was the main thing that pushed them over the edge, whether that was just, well, they had it, but they got hit by a car while they had cancer, drinking acid, whatever the case was, they're counting those in the deaths. Andy, no, they're not. Come on, even if you're on the other side of the aisle and you don't want to look at the real numbers, you can at least admit to that because the money's coming into the hospital, the money's coming into the county, the money's coming into the state because of COVID relief funding. If you actually have a confirmed case, a confirmed death in the state, you're getting more money and you're getting more resources because there's deaths happening in your area. So of course the hospitals are going to count it. Especially at a time when the hospitals are struggling because no one's going in for regular checkups or regular operations in fear of the coronavirus. And there's hospitals struggling all over the nation. So, of course, they're going to count it to get as much money as they possibly can. So even if you believe that 200,000 mark, then you have to admit, oh, yeah, you know what? A lot of it's for money. We don't know how severe. Some of them could have been the tipping point because of COVID and they had a serious illness and that just pushed them over the edge. Other times it could be completely nothing, but they had it, but it didn't absolutely do. They were asymptomatic and yet they passed away from something else and we're going to count it as. Regardless, The 200,000 to me isn't the right number, but we're still under the original projections of what the government said we were going to have with this virus at the beginning of this pandemic. Which means it's unfathomable, means that you're just lying and twisting because you can't remember what happened just a month ago. We'll talk about that and the Supreme Court nominations, what's going to happen with that whole process, all coming up here on The Voice of Reason. Lots to get to. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn,
Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a Tuesday. Radio, TV, live streaming on the website at HooserReason.com. Thanks for visiting that one. Thanks for checking out the podcast as well. If you do that one, you're going to want to listen back to the interview we had earlier today with Joy Villa, singer, artist, actress, author of the book KickAss Conservative. She's awesome. Loved her. Appreciate it very much. We'll have her back on the show again very soon. Make sure to check her out on social media, on Twitter at Joy_Villa, because she is hilarious on there. She just don't care. We'll have her back on the show again here real soon. So, with the big news of the day about the COVID-19 numbers.
What's trending today?
200,000 COVID-19 confirmed deaths here in the nation. Now, is that really accurate? I don't know if you remember or not. It was, like a week or two ago? I know the left has difficult times remembering things and having long-term memory. However, if you remember just a couple weeks ago, the CDC came out with a number and said that out of the deaths that we had, which at that time was about 180,000, so we're close, we just gone up a little bit more, but out of that 180,000, 6% were actual deaths that were related solely to COVID-19. The other deaths, they had at least 2 prior ailments or pre-existing conditions that they were battling when they got COVID, which means either COVID pushed them over the edge or that it was just insignificant. They were asymptomatic, but they tested positive for it and they passed away from something else. Now, the reason that's important is because the left is losing their minds that Donald Trump didn't handle the virus appropriately, that we're all dying from it, that that's a big push for the election. And that's just not true. Now, to be clear, all lives matter and we want everybody to be healthy. We don't want anybody to die from anything. Realistically, that's not going to happen, though. We have flu viruses that kill people. We have cancer that kills people. We have buses that kill people. We have heart attacks that kill people. We have people eating M&Ms every single day that just die because they don't take care of themselves. We have deaths every single day, and it's unfortunate, and it's sad. At the same time, it's realistic, and we have to accept that fact, right? We can't just say, we don't want anybody to die ever again. It's not going to happen. But when you look at a virus, if you were in charge, left, right, regardless, throw that away for a second. If you were in charge, because as you know, most politicians, and to a degree it's a good thing, that when they get elected, they go from the fringe right or the fringe left, and they come to the center a little bit because they have to get away from some ideological arguments and go into real world arguments. And you still hold the foundation of your ideology, not that you just cast it aside like some do, but you use your ideology and your foundation of your beliefs to curb your mindset, but then you base it in real world and you debate and you haggle and you try and compromise to get a little bit of what you can to continue the fight down the road. You cannot be the extremist ideologue that just runs off the cliff and says either I want everything that I want or else I'm not going to vote for it and support it in any way, shape, or form, because that's a negative thing and you actually harm your message more than you do actually help your message if you go down that road of a purism of what we like to say. if you're a leader, regardless of whether you're extreme left or extreme right, if you're a leader and you have a virus spreading, how is the best way for you to gauge it? How is the best way for you to understand how severe this is spreading through the community, how bad this thing actually is, and how it's actually going to harm you or not harm you as a society? How do you gauge it? You say, okay, first off, I want to have a basic understanding of how badly this is spreading throughout the community, which is the testing part. Okay, now we have that. Now we have an understanding that you can do it based on being close to each other for long periods of time, which means, sure, encourage people to wear a mask. If they want to wear a mask, that's fine. If they don't want to wear a mask, that's fine. But make sure as well that they understand that they can wear a mask, but only if they're within 6 feet of people and they're within that 6 feet of that same person for a long periods of time. What is it, like 6 minutes or something? It's ridiculous. Usually you're not standing in line checking out at a grocery store for more than 6 minutes. It seems that long, but you're usually not. I remember working at the bank, and actually it's ironic because I wore the shirt today for that, but I remember working at the bank and they made us do some ways to try and occupy people that were waiting in line at the bank because it seemed a lot longer than what it actually was when people would wait and they get testy or they get frustrated. And as part of the customer service, our job was to try and keep the line moving so that way they didn't have to stand in line more than it was like a minute or a minute and a half, because up to a minute, people thought that they were standing in line for close to 5 to 6 minutes. And they would get testy and they would get annoyed because they had to wait so long. And they'd be like, I've been in line for like 6 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And you look down at it, it was really only like a minute and a half to 2 minutes long. So as customer service, you wanted to keep the line moving, keep things moving fast. And you try and talk to them, engage, hey, we'll be right with you in a second, because people get testy. Same thing with this. We want to keep it an understanding. We want to have a basic understanding and keep things moving along. Once you understand where the baseline is for the on how you actually try to do this. Okay, you know what? If you're not within 6 feet of people for more than 6 minutes, then you're fine. You don't need to wear the mask. If you want to because you feel better about it, all the power to you. Okay, as a leader, you establish that. Then you have a baseline of positive tests. It's running rampant through. After a while, do the positive tests really matter anymore? Really? I mean, after a while, does the positive test really make a difference in any way, shape, or form other than just for your own personal knowledge? After a while, you know that most of it is going through the communities. You don't need that anymore. Now you want to look at the death rate per the positive tests. And how do you confirm deaths based on the virus and solely based on the virus? They say 200,000, and that's just not accurate. 6% of them are the only ones that actually died solely from the virus. Well, Andy, what if it was the one that pushed them over the brink? And it could be. And unless we have the ability to actually decide, you know what, that was the cause of them being pushed over the edge to die because they had this other ailment, then maybe we can count that one because it hurt them enough to push them over that edge. If it was asymptomatic and they tested positive, but they had cancer and died from cancer, you're not going to count that as a COVID-19 death. But many hospitals are, because they want the money, because they've been struggling, because people aren't going to the doctor, and because they get more financial aid to the hospital and to the county and to the city and to the state for more deaths, because they get more relief funding and they get more resources for PPEs and whatever else they need. Because look at that, there's a lot of deaths around there. So of course they're going to count them. But we shouldn't. To get an accurate number as a leader, come on, be square with me here. As a leader, and you want to know the true accurate numbers, would you say, I want anybody that's associated and had a positive test in any way, shape, or form to be considered as a death, so that way we get an inaccurate number? Or do you want, I want to know how bad this virus really, truly is, so therefore I want to count the people that are healthy, that are dying from this virus, to know how bad it is among healthy people. We already know that sick people are compromised. We already know that immune-compromised people are already compromised. We already know that we need to take preventative measures there. If you want to put in regulatory matters or you want to put in preventative measures, why don't you do it at nursing homes and long-term care facilities that count for close to 80 to 90% of all the deaths in the nation due to COVID-19? Or the hospitals with patients that actually have immune-compromised systems. Why don't you put in regulations there instead of the healthy people? I want to know how it affects the main population that's going to work every day, that has to go through the grind every day, that's trying to make a living every day, that's healthy, and that works without an issue each and every day. I want to know personally as a leader how it affects them. And to us, with 6.5 plus almost 7 million confirmed cases in the nation, with really 10,000 deaths at that 6% of that 200,000, which is roughly between 10 to 12%. Or 10 to 12,000 people, that's not a whole lot of people. So as a leader, we'd say, wow, you know what? We need to take some preventative measures. However, it's not as serious as what we thought. We can continue on about our day and then just put some preventative measures in place along with it. That's how you operate. Instead, you get the mass hysteria because it's an election season and people losing their minds. Now, on top of that, we have them going after Mitch McConnell again. So another one.
What's trending today?
What's trending today is that Mitch McConnell unexpectedly rejects Democrats' funding bill, leaving the U.S. on the verge of a government shutdown. Oh, I love it. I love how they create this hysteria. Did you see that mental illness and depression is actually being led to because of all the negative story ads that they read on social media and all the negative stories that they see in the media altogether? Do you see that story? Oh, yeah. Just people scrolling and reading all the negative news all the time creates mental illnesses and creates depression while they're saying, there's no depression. It's all in Donald Trump's head because he said there'd be mental illness for shutting people down. You see how disastrous media actually can be for a lot of people. But McConnell now unexpectedly rejects Democrats' funding bill. Now, this funding bill is to keep the government open because, number one, we have not worked on appropriation bills. We've talked to our congressman here in Kansas. We've talked to the congressman in Ohio. We've talked to other congressmen on and off the air. They're not working on the budget. Like the sole purpose of what government's supposed to be doing in Congress, especially in the House of Representatives, especially. They're supposed to be working on budget. Not just a budget. They're supposed to be working on appropriations bills. Not just appropriations bills. They're supposed to be working on 12 appropriations bills as our budget, a federal budget, is set up into 12 different appropriations categories. None of them are being worked on. They want a single omnibus bill, which really started around the Barack Obama era, about midway through the Barack Obama reign of terror, where we didn't do appropriations bills and sit down and say, all right, can we cut budgets here? Do we need more funding here? Are things going well over here? And actually looked at issue by issue, item by item, agency by agency, and actually went through the appropriations. We don't do that now. We've tried. What was it, 2 years ago? 3 years ago? We actually got like 3 or 4 appropriations bills done under Trump, but that's about it. That's about it. The rest of it omnibus. Now this year, just across the board, massive omnibus spending, more spending for COVID relief, more spending for social programs, the mandatory spending that the left refuses to even talk about, that you don't even look at reforming. It just grows by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6% every single year. And if you don't like that and you want to reform it, then you hate poor people and you hate sick people and you hate elderly people and you want them to all die in the streets. So McConnell unexpectedly rejecting the Democrat funding bill. Of course he would. It's absurd. Now, it's not the reason that they gave, though, but that's the reason he should, because it's absurd, and we're not going to do that until we actually get an appropriations bill. But what he really said was a tweet that came out just yesterday that said House Democrats aren't actually funding agriculture and farmers. House Democrats' rough draft of a government funding bill shamelessly leaves out key relief and support that American farmers need. This is no time to add insult to injury and defund the help for farmers in rural America. We'll talk about that when we come back. Should we be passing this bill or not? Plus, some of the fines that Bloomberg may be having as well. There's another topical issue. Lots of things going on today. We'll try and cover it all right here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
when reason meets radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. Thanks for hanging out with us today. It is a Tuesday. Goes by so fast. I can't believe the show is almost over already. So we have the Republicans not wanting to support a budget bill because it's just ridiculously absurd and it doesn't even support farmers. The Democrats just don't care because it goes to their pet projects of social programs and additional unemployment and, COVID issues and so on and so forth. And do you realize how much money we've spent already? How much money is going out? Our debt in the nation growing by like 60% in one quarter. It's ridiculous. Like the $3 trillion spending that we did. I get it. It kept the economy going, and I understand what they did. And was it needed? Yes, it was degree in many cases. However, do we need to do it again? I don't know. Maybe another shortened version of it or a smaller version of it, but not what the Democrats want, which is just whatever they want with pet projects. So that's kind of fun. Yeah, Bernie Sanders, you can really tell the Democrats think that the number one priority right now is trying to stop the Supreme Court justice, because Bernie Sanders just tweeted an hour ago, yes, abortion is a constitutional right, period. Oh my. It's not, but okay, you can think that whatever you want. So they realize that the Roe v. Wade issue is the number one issue, and as soon as Trump makes a nomination and the Republicans pass that nominee, then we're going to have a Supreme Court that's way more conservative, because we've already been teetering. John Roberts, that special individual, let's put it that way, is the one that's been doing the swing voting and stopping a lot of conservative things. As a quote-unquote conservative, in constitutionalist, he's been stopping a lot of issues. So we're going to be the ones now to be in the majority, and he's going to have to go along with it. And Roe v. Wade's going to get overturned, and Second Amendment restrictions are going to get overturned. And there's a lot of things that are going to get overturned because of a more constitutionalist Supreme Court, and they can't stand it. They realize we've changed the courts now for the next 30 to 40 to 50 years. With more potentially coming, by the way, because it sounds like Trump may actually have the opportunity to change some more Supreme Court justices in the next 4 years when, not if, but when he gets reelected. But we have to fight for it. And we have to fight for it hard. Because can you imagine, just for a second, the guy who fought the establishment, the guy who's fighting the quote-unquote system, the deep state, however you want to describe them, he has tied his hands a little bit for the last 4 years, hasn't been able to do as much as he wanted, a little bit frustrated because he's a business guy. He wants to get things done very quickly, very, very on cue. Let's get this done. Let's get this moving. Let's keep things going. He's the guy that sleeps like 20 minutes a night and then goes on for another 20 hours because that's just who he is and what he does, and he still has the energy to keep on going. That's who the guy is. Think for a second. If he gets reelected, what he's going to do when he doesn't have to worry about reelection. Now, Nancy Pelosi's already said she's going to try to impeach him. For what? For what? For making a Supreme Court nomination when even Barack Obama and everybody's like, oh, we should wait till after the inauguration next year. That's not how government works, buddy. That's not the way this goes. Imagine what he could do, even with another impeachment. So what? He already has one under his belt. Let them try to impeach him again if the House continues with a Democrat majority, which hopefully they don't. Hopefully we can swap that one. But if they do, so what? Who cares? Impeach him again. He's still in office. You can impeach him as many times as you want to. Doesn't mean anything. It's not going to remove him from office. Imagine what he would do, though, without having to worry about re-election. The arrest warrant's coming up for Hillary Clinton. The arrest warrant's coming up for Barack Obama. The arrest warrant's coming up for Mueller and all these other individuals from the quote-unquote deep state within the government, just saying, you know what, we're going to fix things the way we need to. We're going to get things done the way we need to, and just going all out and just getting the agenda finished. Not having to worry about re-election, not having to worry about political capital. That's why the Republicans like him so much, is because even though many Republicans have fallen off the deep end and joined the establishment, quote-unquote deep state, for being there for so long, deep down, most Republicans want that to happen, but they don't have the political will, they don't have the political capital, they don't have the ability to fight it the way an outsider does. So they have to toe the line and follow the line and try and fight what they can when they can, but then back off when they need to as well. That's why they're scared of him winning a re-election. That's why they're threatening to continue civil unrest. That's why Hillary Clinton told Joe Biden not to concede the election if he loses the election. That's why Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton and everybody else said that they need to forcibly remove Trump from office with the military, because they're desperate to not let him have full reign to do what he needs to do after he gets reelected and doesn't have to worry about reelection thereafter. That's why we need to go out and vote en masse, because then you see headlines like Bloomberg paying fines for 32,000 felons in Florida so they're able to vote. Who cares if they get a fine? I'll pay it for you. Make sure and go and vote. Vote Trump out. We need that guy gone because we don't like him anymore. I'll pay your fines because we're that desperate to get him out of office. That's how crazy this has gotten. We'll touch on more of that tomorrow. What do you say? Until then, podcast going up in a little bit. Appreciate it. It's the Voice of Reason. Be your own voice of reason. Time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. It's the Voice of Reason. We have lots more coming up the next few days. Stay right here. Until then, everybody have a wonderful Tuesday. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.